please.
You are up, Commissioner.
All right, Bannock County Commissioners are now in session. Our first item on the agenda is indigent business.
Commissioners, the case number today is 2025006, and it's an application for cremation expenses submitted through Will's Funeral Home in the amount of $1,200. The application was submitted by the son of the deceased, and information was obtained from the son as well as the state's website, IBIS. The applicant is a 57-year-old male who's applying for cremation expenses for a 74-year-old mother. She was a Bannock County resident and was not a veteran. The deceased was receiving $994 a month in Social Security and was a Medicaid recipient at the time of her passing. There was one bank account with $4.56. No other accounts, property, or assets were located. With the information obtained, it appears the applicant and deceased meet the criteria of Idaho Code to be eligible for assistance through the indigent program. The recommendation is an approval of the application. Bannock County does appear to be the last resource, and the applicant has agreed to a $25 a month retained plan.
Any questions?
Nope.
Motion?
Mr. Chair, I'd move that we approve case number 2025006 as presented.
We have a motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Next on our agenda, we have to read and a signature on the green light proclamation. And I've asked Commissioner Hoff to go ahead and read this.
Just a little history on Operation Greenlight. This is a NACO, National Association of Counties deal to promote veterans and shine a light on issues surrounding veterans and highlight resources available to veterans. So what we're asking, or what the program is to put your outside lights to green, to shine a light on veterans and what they did. So this proclamation then reads, whereas the residents of Bannock County have great respect, admiration, and the utmost appreciation for all the men and women who selflessly served our country and this community in the armed forces, and whereas the contributions and sacrifices of those who served in the armed forces have been vital in maintaining the freedoms and way of life enjoyed by our citizens, and whereas Bannock County seeks to honor individuals who have placed themselves in harm's way and made countless sacrifices for freedom, for the good of all, and whereas veterans continue to serve our community through their involvement in veteran service organizations, religious groups, and in civil service, Bannock County Veteran Service Office is honored to help former service members access more than $73,653,000 in federal health, education, disability, and compensation benefits in fiscal year 23 to the approximately 5,465 veterans who live here. And whereas studies indicate that 38% of veterans in our area of service experience high levels of stress during transition from military to civilian life, and active military service members transitioning from military service are at a high risk for suicide during their first year after military service. And whereas Bannock County appreciates the sacrifices of our United States military personnel and believes specific recognition should be granted, therefore it be resolved with designation as Green Light for Veterans County, Bannock County hereby declares November 4th through Veterans Day, November 11th, 2024, a time to salute and honor the service and sacrifices of our men and women in uniform transitioning from active service. Therefore, be it further resolved that in observance of Operation Greenlight, Bannock County encourages its citizens in a patriotic tradition to recognize the importance of honoring all those who have made immeasurable sacrifices to preserve freedom by displaying green lights in a window of their place of business or residence from November 4th through the 11th, 2024. In witness thereof, we hereby set our hands on this, the 29th day of October in the year 2024. Mr. Chair, I'd move that we approve the proclamation.
We have a motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any comments, Melissa?
I'm just so grateful. Do I need to come up here?
Yes, please.
Melissa Hartman with Veteran Services, and I'm just so grateful for the commitment that the commissioners here in Bannock County make to our veterans on a regular basis. It's very appreciated, and I've always felt nothing more than supported and accepted for my position and my department, and so we're very grateful to you guys for recognizing the importance of veterans and the contribution that they are able to make to our community. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for all that you do.
Yeah,
We're grateful to be able to sign the proclamation.
wonderful. I can't wait to see the building green.
I'm excited.
Me too.
This has got to be the best week of the year for ICCU. They already got their lights out.
Well, maybe they'll put some extra lights out. Who
There you
knows?
go.
There we go.
Awesome. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right. Okay, you're up, Hal.
Good morning, Commission. I have with me a plat for signature, final plat for signature, called Eastwood Estates, put together by Mr. Rick Dixon on a piece of property, off of, can't remember what road. I'll find it.
Down Chubbuck, isn't it?
Yep.
Is it Richard Nelson?
Off of Tyhee Road, just adjacent to Rio Vista and Tyhee. It was a piece of property that was owned by Richard Nelson, sold to Rick Dixon, and Rick has taken the last number of years to put this together. Just been waiting for construction to be complete, and since he had 2 years for final plat, he took the full 2 years. Anyway, they're here and available for signature. It meets all requirements of the ordinance. It is the last, I think, the last of open space within a lot subdivisions under old interpretation.
Okay. Questions?
Nope.
Comments? Motion?
Mr. Chair, I'd move that we approve the final plat for Eastwood Estates subdivision as presented.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
You got pens?
I do. Jason, if you'll give me a date right here, please, and your signature, and then
Commissioner Moser directly below. Oh.
thanks, Jason.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, next we have ratified signature on container rental agreement for Down and Downey. So after our meeting last Friday, Dan sent me a message and said that he'd got the storage units down there already. And he was pretty quick. So I come in and docu-signed that, and we need to ratify that. Motion?
Mr. Chair, I'd move that we ratify the container rental agreement as in the packet.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And I have to say thank you to Christy. Whenever we do something like this, it needs to go on the insurance. And she was kind of left out of the loop, and she saw other communication back and forth, asked some questions, and she has this on her insurance already. So thank you for that effort.
I am following up with Dan. It says that it's going to charge a credit card. So I need to verify how we're doing the payment.
Okay.
He said They did not give a credit card, so I'll have to work out the payment arrangements. So, not that you need to worry about that. We'll take care of it.
It's John's personal card. He's got it all covered. All I saw is that Dan said he has it covered in his line.
Yes.
Okay. All right, next we have signature on independent contract, and this is Bannock County Professional Services Contract Forensic Pathology Consultant. Conversation?
No, we put this together. I got a little nervous thinking, I don't know how to run a autopsy, and I don't know the software. So I reached out to see if Dottie would be willing to take care of this for the 3 weeks we were going to do it, and she was willing to do that. So we put together a prorated contract for the 3 weeks to bring before the commission to see if they'd be willing to allow her to do that for this time, which would, again, give us the opportunity to run the test, get good data for costs so we can fully understand the costs for the autopsies and have it run professionally.
We set up the billings and how we're going to do all of that.
We're about to contact Christie this week and get that set up. So
I've got
that's,
ARPA reports due this week.
okay, we can do it next week if that's fine for you. That's fine. Because we talked about using a spreadsheet before, a Google Doc that you could track. That's what we talked about before, so that's kind of the direction we were traveling, unless you would like something different.
Let me know what.
Well, we'll contact you and see what you want, but
That'd be great.
we'll do it next week.
Okay.
And actually, when we had staff meeting yesterday, and this was brought up, it kind of caught me off guard.
Yep. I
have some concerns, partially, with, after talking to commissioners in Ada County. That's all. But we would need to have an executive session to talk about an individual.
If you want to do that, wait till Thursday, we can do that.
I'd just then do that, so we can put that on the
Okay,
executive.
let's do
I
it.
have just a couple of comments that I'd like to
Let's do it.
have that.
And I have some additional concerns
Okay.
about this. So, at the last couple of meetings where we've been discussing doing another test, number one, I don't think we need a test. I've already outlined my reasons for that. But in the last two meetings, I questioned whether or not this was a legitimate use of these funds. And I have not seen any documents related to how these funds can be used. So I ended up doing a little bit of research, and I was able to find the bill that authorized this transfer of money by the legislature. It's HB 776 in 2022. And in section 7 of that, the authorization was for $900,000 for the general fund, which was going to go to, this is an education appropriations bill, by the way. So the money went to Idaho State University for the Eastern Idaho Forensic Pathology Center to be expended for the period July 1 through 2021 through June 30, 2022 for this, for operating expenses for such a facility. And then in section 8, they do talk about a reauthorization allowing perhaps this to have been spent up through June 30, 2023. So I have a couple of concerns here. Number one is I think we are outside the limits for use of these funds. And I think that needs to be looked at. I have reached out to our county attorney to answer whether or not this is appropriate to use the funds past that date, which, as I read this, the plain reading to me indicates that we would not have that authorization. And secondly, according to the same appropriation bill, I think it calls into question the transfer of the funds from ISU to Bannock County, because there's a statement here that says legislative appropriation shall not be transferred from one fund to another fund unless expressly approved by the legislature. Now, this is the only document I've ever seen related to this. And so if there is some document that indicates that this was approved, I haven't seen it. And so I wonder about whether or not this should have been transferred in the first place. And then there's a third thing that I had found, and I was able to get a hold of the document from ISU where they give the audit detail or the spending authorization detail for this transfer of funds. And the $853,000, this was after they apparently paid for the Smith Group report of $43,600. But anyway, there was $853,700, it looks like, that was transferred to Bannock County, and that's the one I call into question there. And it states on their records, this is an invoice for project costs incurred. And of course, there were no project costs incurred beyond the Smith Fund at that point. So I think we need to really take a very careful look at these funds. Personally, I feel like when the forensic lab was terminated, I think back in March of this year, at that point, all the funds that were remaining should have been sent back to the legislature.
Okay. Well, we'll table this till Thursday, and it'll give us some time to review this and talk to our attorney and see what the next step is. Any comments? Nope.
I just think that from our meeting in Boise, which I was at, we need to make sure that we have buy-in from all of the counties around, and I mean all. It's going to take all 17, and from what I have heard, we don't have near. There are a couple of strongly supportive counties, a couple, but most of the counties of the 17 are not on board. And so to push forward without getting a lot of buy-in, like real buy-in, is pretty fruitless. I know that they had asked for all of our preliminary numbers that we had from previous, and I know that they haven't received that, to my knowledge, at least when I talked with a couple of the clerks a few weeks ago at that point. So to get that buy-in, we're going to have some better communication. But I know of 2 counties that have said that they are not interested. I had a couple of commissioners reach out to me after that meeting in Boise, asking for some of the numbers that we had, and I asked them to reach out to Jeff, and they told me that they were essentially not interested.
Well,
So it's going to take a little better communication, a little better planning, and buy-in from all of the counties.
I think that, like I say, we'll table this for now and put it on the executive session, and we can talk about some of the contracts and see that have been sent out, and then have legal here to give us advice.
Do we have dates for this?
Yes, we do. We
When is
have
available?
the first 3 weeks in November, weekends, Fridays, Saturdays.
All right, we'll table that for now then. Next, where is our legal counsel?
Do you want me to go find him?
Well, yeah, I mean, if we're gonna have an executive session, talk to legal counsel. It's probably
A little hard to do that.
good
without
for
it.
him to be here. We'll go ahead and go on down with some of this other stuff. So, letter of support for Health West. And I'd asked them to be here, and they couldn't be here. But this is, Bannock County is pleased to provide Health West with a letter of support for a HRSA Service Area Competition SAC grant application. And this grant provides mandatory funding that is appropriated in Section 330 of the Public Health Service Act. As the Community Health Care Center, Health West receives its primary source of funding through this grant. The funds make it possible to support the operation and cost of providing services for low-income, uninsured patients that cannot afford health care. So we've signed this letter before in supporting them applying for a grant, and that's what it is. We have no obligations, but it is supporting this. Any comments?
Nope.
Motion?
Mr. Chair, I'd move that we sign the letter of support for Health West.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. This is signature only, an addendum to the inmate health service agreement, provisions regarding the inmate MOUD treatment expiration date. This is out at the jail.
We're using opioid funds for that.
What's that?
We're using
Opioid fund.
funds for that program.
Okay. Questions on this one?
Nope. Mr. Chair, I'd move that we assign the contract as presented.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
He got caught up with something. He does have an update. And he'll be here in 5 to 10 minutes. It sounded like 10.
Next, under the consent agenda, we have invoice. This is Idaho Association of Counties invoice. We have liquor license, salary rate approval form, and minutes for October 22nd and 24th. Any questions?
Did you have a chance to review that letter on there,
I
John?
did. Maybe you know a little bit more about this new proposal. I remember talking about it, but I can't quite recall the details. I don't think it's a lot of money to set up this group that's gonna, I guess, help us get better appropriations for public lands and things of that nature, which I think is okay.
Yeah, that's the intent of it, and I don't have a lot of details behind that as well, but after reading it and talking to a couple other people, that is my understanding as well.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
Any other questions on the consent agenda?
nope, Mr. Chair, I'd move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. With that being said, we'll be at recess until our attorney